Carl, is there something else you wish to add? I do not wish to make you mad, but don't the butts taste awfully bad and lose the flavor they once had? Carl replied, on the contrary, I'd bake some basics with rosemary, saute some Salems and some sherry, and merits with mayo make me merry. I also eat Winston's, the yummy type, but Newports, I just don't get the hype. I only eat Cools if they're fresh and ripe and put Marlboros in my tea at night. Then for dessert, I bake a pie and stuff it full of Camel Wides, and I know that I'm a lucky guy when I get lucky strikes to make stir-fry. But really, it just all depends on what I get from all my friends that live above me in my den, since I can't leave to purchase them. Why can't you leave? Why can't you go? Why must you stay down here below? Is there something that I still don't know? Come see the world and say hello. I can't, he said, due to my skin. That's why I must remain within. For when smoking I chose to begin, I was drained of all my melanin. As I gazed upon his unibrow, he said, got a question for you, pal. I thought I would have asked by now, but how did you start anyhow? I looked at him and then refused. He looked at me as though confused. Carl, your tale has left me unamused. As for your habit, I disapprove. You tell me I'm adventure-bound and of your den beneath the ground, but before you even made a sound, I already knew what I had found. I think I know the way to term it, so I think it best for you to learn it. As far as names, I think you've earned it. I think I title you a hermit. You have no friends, you live alone, you never even leave your home. All you've done is moan and groan. You're as backwards as a palindrome. I've heard you out, so it's my turn. I am young and still can learn. As for these lungs, they're mine to burn. They're really none of your concern. But Carl said, that's a mistake. I brought you down here for your sake, to give advice I hope you'll take to save yourself from pain and ache. You think I'm proud of all I've done? You think I like hiding from the sun? My addiction's not what I call fun. I may look old, I'm 31. I only try to make the best of what has come from being stressed. That's why I must acquire guests and bring them on these sewer quests. You see, I've been watching you a while. I've observed your walk, your shoes, your style, but I've also seen you cough a bile and stain with smoke that perfect smile. I knew we had to have a chat so you could see just where I'm at and why I live among the rats, but instead you've chosen to combat. You say I'm backwards, so are you. Anyone would say that's true. You've been given youth, what do? You smoke the sticks you give it to. You come down here and hear my tale, and yet I'm sure you'll still inhale. You've tried to quit, I watched you fail. You're so blind you should be reading Braille. You put me into such a mood, I really should just swallow you. You have smoked more than I have chewed, but that's just not my attitude. I'd rather have you comprehend my end won't have to be your end. You don't have to have a den or live alone with 0 friends. I looked at him and then I thought, could he be right? Could I be not? I guess I do smoke quite a lot. Perhaps he's right and I should stop. And then I saw his sad green eyes. I must say I was quite surprised, for Carl had begun to cry, but I had no clue just as to why. And so I asked, why all the tears? Because I've been down here for years, and when a potential friend gets near, they always run from me in fear. That's not your fault, it's just your breath. Have you given Listerine a test, even considered using Crest, or maybe Colgate would work best? And if you say no, since you can't leave, I think that can be remedied, for even one as pale as me can score prescription-grade sunscreen. A trim for you would also aid. Your hair is on an escapade. It would be best if not delayed. I'll help you out, don't be afraid. I would also volunteer. Your tail should be hidden in the rear. We should probably also hide your ears, and your nose could stand to be less clear. And you smell like ash. That can be fixed. We just need to clean you up a bit, but if we want to clean you quick, I think your habit should be quit. I figured he'd be filled with dread, considering what I had said, but Carl looked at me instead and began to nod his pale gray head. This help you speak of sounds ideal, and I appreciate the way you feel. Cigarettes make awful meals, but if I'm to quit, let's make a deal. You quit too, that smoking stuff. I'm sure we both have had enough, and even though it may sound tough, we can beat it, both of us. This sounded very tough indeed, but Carl and I had just agreed that we would quit and both succeed and put to rest our awful deeds. Carl, I will return here soon, say tomorrow in the afternoon. I hope that time will work for you. For me, it is most opportune. And now I will head to the store and purchase all that's needed for the change that we discussed before, if you just show me to the door. He said, okay, and then I walked, and then he said, thanks for the talk. I will intently watch my clock for your return. No need to knock. Darkness is what set the tone, as once again I left this home. Back through the entrance I was shown my time below had really flown. And as I went to buy some things, I considered everything. From that day, what I had seen and what it was supposed to mean. I mean, really, was it just my luck? I need to quit and he shows up and somehow knows I'm badly stuck, so tells how his life ran amok? Or was it fate or something more? So many others are ignored who smoke and die before the ripe old age of 54. These thoughts kept me from sleep that night. What made him offer this invite and tell me tales and show me sights of how smoking could affect my life? Eventually, I fell asleep. I think because I counted sheep, and even though the sleep was deep, I woke up feeling somewhat weak. That, of course, was from my dreams of talking cigarettes and whipping cream upon a Sunday shining sheen encouraging this new cuisine. And to make it worse, I ate it all, and to make that worse, I was enthralled. I would normally have been appalled, but I devoured those Pall Malls. But the worst part of this dream ordeal was just how much the butts appealed, and then I knew how Carl feels. The butts were his Achilles heel. And to think I judged him early on, and how I ranted on and on about how I thought it weird and wrong he lived alone and was withdrawn. I only had one dream wherein I ate some butts and it was grim, but if that's just how it all begins, what damage had been done to him? He'd been down there for some time, all the while being confined to a life so sublime, which by addiction was defined. Before this I had been so naive, but now his tale was so believed, so it was then I had to leave, and so my jacket I retrieved. In my jacket were my keys, in my car were groceries, and other things that I would need I'll purchase from the pharmacy. I stepped back out into the cold, then once again I found the hole, the one that jailed poor Carl's soul and never offered